I think I'm going to get started with our introduction tonight. There may be a few more people trickling in. I wanted to welcome everyone in person and also everyone online this evening. Thank you for joining us at the Seattle AWIS event this evening. I have a few comments about Seattle AWIS, and then we'll move forward with our program tonight. Since 1971, AWIS has been a resource for women, a network and voice for women in science, technology, and engineering and math. And as you can see from all of these orange spots on this map of the US, they're indicating where different chapters are. So we're nationwide, and you can see that most of them tend to be east of the Mississippi, but there are several also on the West Coast, and we're happy to be one of them. I'm part of the National AWIS organization, and new chapters are being added all the time. And so if you happen to take a job or have a chance to move to another location and work, a nice thing to do would be to look up the local AWIS chapter that's there, and you'll find a whole nother group of women scientists who are interested in getting to know you. So as a nationwide organization, AWIS is championing the interests of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And it's working for a positive transformation in the institutions that support those fields. AWIS strives to ensure that women in these fields can achieve their full potential. And for myself, that last part of the statement it's very compelling. I like it that I am part of an organization that is working to help women achieve their full potential. As at Seattle AWIS, we are a local chapter that engages with the nationwide group, but we were established in 1985, and the mission of the Seattle area chapter of AWIS is to welcome and advance the careers of both women and women science and into technology as well. And then we're also wanting to promote the participation of girls in science. And we do that through a series of signature programs that I'll briefly describe. We have events monthly like this one. Sometimes it's a speaker speaking on a scientific topic or someone from industry. Sometimes it's a personal development topic or career development topic. About once a month, we'll have a local event. And then we have informal get-togethers as well from time to time, such as meeting at a restaurant or a bar or something like that. So stay tuned for our next events. We offer a GEMS program, which is for girls in engineering, math, and science. It's a program for girls that are in the 7th and 8th grade that are attending Seattle Public Schools. And so hoping to support and inspire this age group to pursue a career in science. We also do mentoring. Our mentoring group is a group of 5 to 7 women committed to meeting monthly to support one another. Each group is coordinated and fostered by at least one experienced mentor. And for myself, that was something that I did when I was a graduate student. I went to graduate school on the East Coast and was part of the Boston chapter. And it really helped me a lot to be part of a mentoring group that could help me hit the milestones that I needed to hit while I was in school and see that other women had been successful as well. So I highly recommend reaching out there too. And then AWIS is involved in awarding scholarships to women on the order of $1,000 to $7,500 to pursue a STEM field at the university, at a college or university in the state of Washington. So each year we have these scholarship applications that are submitted, and we choose awardees. And then at our awards and banquet, we give those awards at our banquet, excuse me, and we celebrate those women at that time. And that leads me to my next slide, which is that our banquet this year is happening on June 14th. It's a Wednesday evening. It will be at the UW Center for Urban Horticulture. And we would love it if you are interested in coming and joining our celebration. So there will be a program that evening in addition to dinner, but we will be giving the awards previously mentioned. So we'll hear from the award winners and the scholarship recipients, and then it's overall a celebration of the accomplishments of women in STEM. And tickets are going to be on sale for this very soon. So starting May 1st at the Seattle AWIS website, you can go there to purchase a ticket. So we hope to see you there. And then I also wanted to mention that if you work for a company that might be interested in sponsoring a table at our banquet, we would love to know that. Let us know if you would like to look into that or would like some help in contacting individuals at your company to do that. So we have some sponsors already, which include those listed here. And we're really grateful for these table sponsors and their support of women in science. So to our evening tonight, we're very grateful to have two speakers this evening. Our title of our event is From Invisible to Influential: How Women Can Build a Personal Brand. And I have to say, I was joking with some high school students in the hallway earlier because I was telling them what our program was tonight. And I was saying, you know, this is something that I need, but probably you don't, because the younger high school age students are pretty good at representing themselves online. But we're very pleased to have LaVon Dorsey and Annette Bond here with us today. And I'm going to give a brief description of each of our speakers, and then we'll move forward with our program. LaVon wears several different hats. As you can see here, as an executive coach, she works in leadership development, is contributing to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and is a licensed counselor. And her work strives to also advance human development. She works in helping people develop inclusive teams and be inclusive in their project management. She assists organizations in working through change and managing their goals. And we're very grateful to have LaVon with us this evening. And then we also have Annette Bond, and she is the CEO and founder of Definitive Style. And she has over 30 years of style and image expertise as a certified image consultant and More Alive with Color expert. And her work is very specialized and sought after, as she is one of the only 50 women in the US certified in the niche of fashion feng shui. So Annette is the creator of Women of Definitive Style, a style and image program that shows you how to create a signature wardrobe that is uniquely you, so that you feel completely confident in all facets of your life. Her philosophy: style begins with women, not the clothes. So I'd like to invite LaVon to the podium first. And And the audio is on.
All right, good evening. I had not planned on standing behind a podium, and as you can tell, I'm getting over a very bad head cold. So I'm going to pace myself and hopefully I'll remember what I'm supposed to say. So again, my name is LaVon Dorsey. I'm an executive coach, leadership development consultant who also works in DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as a licensed therapist. So as my husband says, he can't get away with anything. So tonight we're really going to talk about personal and professional branding. And can anybody just step out and say, what do you think personal and professional branding is? I'd love to hear from anyone who's willing to put their hand up. Okay, no, go first. Oh, okay.
People think of one characteristic that they know that they can rely on. Like she's dependable.
She's dependable.
Yeah.
That's very good. And that's who you are. So when you get up in the morning, you show up, right? You show up for that person and that being. And I always think about it when I'm talking with clients as Superman knows who he is every single day. He doesn't get confused, right? So that is his brand. We all know what he's supposed to do. He has a uniform with the S on it. He doesn't get confused with Superwoman or Batgirl or any of those other people. That's who he is. So that's what I think of when we think about our personal brands is who am I showing up as every single day? What motivates me to get up in the morning? And that's who we are, is we step into that. All right. I'm going to need some help here. I am totally like right here. Okay, go. Go. There we go. So what is branding? It's the process of identifying and creating and managing to cultivate the assets and actions, just as you said. She's dependable. He is a great resource. That is who we are. So we step into that. That's your branding. Why does it matter? Who would like to say why does it matter? Why does branding matter?
We know we are. They understand who we are. Have that clarity.
Exactly. And that's so important because we don't want to be confused. You know, in coming here this evening, I even looked Tracy up to see who is she? And that is her brand. What I saw on LinkedIn. It's an amazing human being that works with others to create an external and internal confidence to show up in front of anyone, right? In any audience, anywhere. You feel comfortable about what you're wearing, you feel comfortable about who you are, and you show up in that confident place. How many times have you ever had or been in front of a presenter that's tugging at your clothes, or tugging at your pants? What happens when you see that?
They seem nervous and it's trapped. It's distracting. So the message, the speech, the information gets a little bit lost.
It gets lost, exactly. So all of this stuff, you lose who they are in that. So the ability to show up and know who you are every single day and be packaged in that in a comfortable way brings across confidence. People will follow you. They'll show up for you. They know what they're there for, right? So personal branding, professional branding is super important and it matters. So what are the steps? The steps of creating your personal brand. It defines we define who we are. You have to know your audience to be able to do that. Decide what you want to be known for, right? Prepare your elevator speech. How many of you have an elevator speech? Oh, look at that. I am impressed. All right, we'll get there and I'm going to have you go ahead and practice in your mind because I'm going to have somebody stand up and talk about their elevator speech. And then you want to cultivate and maintain your social footprint. We'll talk about that. So this is very short. You've been handed a little worksheet and you can take that with you. And so how do we start? How do you just start in defining who you are? It's how you might describe yourself in 3 words or phrases, because sometimes it's not just one word, it could be a phrase. And you also, if you can't come up with that for yourself, ask some of your professional colleagues, friends and family, and those that you're around to describe how you show up and who you are and potentially the impact that you may have on them, right? And that would be a great place for you to start. And I generally start with 3. I mean, we don't need a huge amount, right? And then because sometimes we dilute the list and then the list becomes where a lot of these other things, which dilutes who we may truly want to be and show up for. So just your ability to stay focused, stay with the intent of who do I want to be in this moment? You know, I always say I am really good at loading a dishwasher, but I don't want anybody to know that, right? So that's farther down my list. And I'm proud of that fact. When I go to a friend's house and they say, you know, oh, don't help me in the kitchen, I'm like, I got this, right? So in some of those other cases, we may want to show that. So I'm gonna give you a minute to write down a couple of words and phrases, 3, that describe you professionally or who you want to present as in the outside world. And keep in mind, that might be in this moment, in this time, in this space now, but in time, that may change, right? As our career changes, as our life changes, as we move to other places, if we take on different jobs or take on different roles, then this list may change. And that's what's important about the last bullet on how do you create is keeping up, making sure that your data is not outdated, because people give you one chance to look at that LinkedIn or that website or whatever that happens to be, that blog, and they're going to make a decision and they're going to make a judgment, right? So it's so important to keep it up to date. Right. Would somebody like to share what they have on their list? Okay.
I'm a curious, dependable, and easygoing.
I like that. That's approachable. What does it say to anybody else when you hear her list?
I want to be your friend.
Exactly. Approachable, right? Exactly. Right. That's great. All right. May I ask what you do? Software engineer. And of course, you want somebody who's an engineer to be approachable. You want to connect with that person, right? We oftentimes believe that if we're not in the sciences, those people in the sciences are very different from who we are, right? They're smarter, they have a different way of thinking, they're very linear, da, 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 da. We have a whole list of things. But she made us think right off the bat, I don't want to approach her. I want to be her friend, right? So that's important to think about. Understand your audience. So think carefully about who may be coming to look you up in any place, be it from Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, right? Sciences, women in sciences publications, or engineering publications as a whole. STEM, or if you're a professor or an adjunct professor, where, if they are looking you up, what do you want them to see? So think about the audience, and it may be different in each of those, right? If you're a presenter or a speaker or a professor, you may have something different in your profile than you would if it was someplace else. So being mindful of who's the audience at that given time and making sure that you are up to date with that audience, right? You had said in the hallway, right? Talking to high school students. Yeah, they're really good at being able to put themselves out there, but they also don't also look about what the impact of that putting them out there, that self out there is, right? Yeah, you got to think about that. And they're not thinking about that, right? Because they're not necessarily on the career front, right? So we have to remember that also the internet saves everything, right? How many of you ever had a MySpace site? It's probably still out there. Just look. Yeah. Your mother made you delete it. I love that. But just be mindful that what you put out there is gonna stay out there. So we have to be careful and conscious of the comments that we make, right? Who we're following, they're gonna pay attention to that. I work with a lot of HR leaders worldwide. Where do you think their background goes? To see what those people have posted here, there, and everywhere, right? They're paying attention because how you present in an interview or a panel or even a portfolio is one thing. That's one side of us. And then as they do their background with those companies out there that do the background, they're going to find out stuff that could be detrimental to you getting that job. So being very mindful of what's out there, right? Any questions about that? No? All right.
I'm just curious, we used to always hear how employers go work on social sites. Is
Mhm.
that a big thing?
It is a big thing. It's, I wouldn't even call it a big thing. It's just practice.
It's part of practice.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, we live in a day and age where people have a lot of personas, right? So people think they say who they think that they want people to believe that they are. I had an example of an organization that I've been working with for about 4 years. They got into a position where they had 2 key positions retire in the same year, the CFO and the CHRO, Chief Human Resource Officer. So someone from my team helped them with that search. I guess I didn't tell you a lot about myself. So not only am I executive coach, I run an organization called Levon Dorsey and Associates. So I have several consultants and coaches that work with me on a variety of projects. And it's dependent on the project that we're working on. So with this organization, we had 2 HR consultants fill in as they were doing this search. And then one of them was also doing the search. So she did the search, presented the company with 4 top candidates. That's all her job was supposed to do. The rest of the organization was supposed to take the candidates through the interview process, make a selection of the top 2, and do a background check. 3 months later, after they made the hire, they found out that the CHRO, Chief Human Resource Officer, right, was not doing her job. She didn't have the policies and procedures down as she said she did. She didn't do what she said she was able to and capable of doing. So they finally saw that they had missed a step. An HR assistant did not do the background check after they offered her. So her references had 3 people on it. They were all her with different email addresses and 3 different phone numbers. So yeah, we have to do this. We have to do background checks. It's a must. Now think about the cost of that. So for a search like that, it's the salary of that individual for that first year. So they lost that money and had to start all over. So yes, very important.
I was just gonna say, how come so many politicians are being shown who have made claims that aren't backed up and checked?
Because we don't care. As citizens, we don't care. When we get to care, then that will happen. As a mental health professional, I think everybody who's in a public office who's making decisions around, just my opinion, I want you to know it's my opinion, is that we should have background checks and we should have psychological testing. Yeah. How many times as a physician? I mean, me as a mental health professional, I have to get my CUs every year, right? So why wouldn't we do that for those people that are out there? It's not a bad thing, and it's not that hard. I could talk a lot about that I won't. So I'm not here for today. Decide what you want to be known for. And again, this is time sensitive, right? What do I want to be known for now in my career or in my profession that may not be the same in 3, 4, 10 years, right? I have patents. Maybe that's what I want to be known for. The new patents, what's cutting edge, what's AI, right? I want to make sure people understand that I'm in that industry and I'm doing great cutting edge work. I may not show that I did something 8 years ago because it's not so relevant anymore. Right? So just might being mindful of what it takes for you right now and what's important. What do you want to be known for? Right. And I'll say with a caveat is that as much as many of us believe we're good writers, this is a place where you hire an expert. You need to know this pathway though, so that expert can do the writing for you. Because oftentimes, and I've learned this through working with communications and marketing folks, professionals in my career, is that we oftentimes believe that the audience wants to know all about us. The audience does want to know enough about you that will get them to what they need, right? So when you talk through your profile about all the things that you've done and all the wonderful things that the wonderful people, that person that you are, does not necessarily think to me on the other side, well, are they going to get me what I need? Right? So the ability to do the balancing in writing your profile. And that's why we hire professionals to do that. Right? Any questions on this part? What do you want to be known for? Sure.
I'm curious what kind of profiles you have in mind. Are you thinking like LinkedIn or something else?
Oh, LinkedIn, but you might have a professional profile in your company if you're a professor or whatnot, or in an organization. That too, you want to make sure that that is up to date and that is current and it's relevant to the work that you're doing and is in the right language. Because again, I've noticed that recently that a lot of companies, instead of having a professional write their executive profiles, they'll just link back to LinkedIn, which it's like, and then you go there and it's like, wow, this hasn't been updated in a while. Doesn't look great for the company either, but it's easy, right? And it's cost effective if we don't have to have somebody keep them up to date. The other thing that I'll say about profiles is pictures, current pictures, not pictures with a cell phone, not pictures with that you've had a friend take, but real professional pictures. It doesn't cost that much. And you really want somebody to make you look great, right? The lighting and all of that, and have them really show who you are, right? Who you are inside out versus sort of a flat picture. And we change. Go ahead.
I'm just curious, this notion of hiring someone,
Mhm.
it makes so much sense. But
It's-
so like, where does one go?
Actually, I often see people post on LinkedIn. I'm doing profile shots. I am helping people with their bios or whatever that happens to be. You can send me a mail, and I have a whole list of people as well that we can work with locally or nationally. But it makes it, you're so much happier when somebody else does it, right? Yeah, they make you feel good, make you look good, right? Who wouldn't want that? Elevator speech. How many of you had, oh, you said there was like 4 of you in here who had an elevator speech. I'd love to hear one too, who's willing. Someone I haven't heard from. All right.
I'm Frida Taub. I'm researching aquatic ecology, specifically closed ecological systems that have implications for harmful algal blooms, pollution, and extraterrestrial life support systems.
Thank you. Fabulous. So what was your name again?
Frida Taub.
Thank you, Frida Taub. Love it. You know exactly what she does, right? Very, very clear.
Well, I have to specify first aquatic ecology because a lot of the other terms are so specialized. It depends who's on the elevator.
There you go. You got to switch it up. The flexibility, that's so important to point that out. Who is your audience, even in the elevator, right? And who understands what you're talking about? And so you may have to, make it down a little bit, or if there's others who really understand the field and expertise, you can talk right up here and to the point. But be mindful of who that audience is. Someone else over here who would like to elevator speech?
Part of it is not my head.
Okay, I'm Fran Solomon. I'm an environmental science professor at Western Washington University, focusing on water quality, environmental pollution, and toxic chemicals. Additionally, I give continuing education courses and lectures for healthcare and environmental professionals and diverse public audiences.
Does everybody know what she does? What she doesn't do, right? Exactly. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the components that you may have heard in both of theirs is that they were very specific, right? And then they broadened it a little bit within that specialty. And then the add-on, right? The adjunct, all of those things. Super helpful. Thank you. So how many of you don't have an elevator speech? So you got some work to do. So if you right now, I stood out in the hallway and you walked by me and I said, oh, hey, what do you do?
I always define myself by my role. And so I say, I'm a professor at the School of Dentistry, but then I say what I'm not, which is I'm not a dentist. Sounds like stand-up comedy or something.
So I would go one step further and say, what is your specialty in the School of Dentistry? All right. So what is that?
Embryology. Embryology?
So how many of us know what that is? Yeah, embryo. Okay. So, but I'm curious because embryos don't have teeth.
Wow, you'd be surprised.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, by the time they start growing as soon as the 6th week of development. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I learned something. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And that would be a whole nother conversation, right? Right?
Same thing. People go, oh, tell me more.
Exactly. You want to know more. Exactly. So. Annette, tell us your elevator.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Elevators.
Okay. Hi, I work with successful, smart business women, helping them to, I had to look at my, feel completely confident in their signature sense of style so that they look as good as they feel.
Do we know what she does? Who does she work with? So if you're not and you don't have the confidence, then what? Become that. There you go. Bridget, I love it. Bridge the gap, right? That's great. Thank you. All right. So home stretch. Cultivate and maintain your social footprint. So be it a profile on an internal, external website, be it LinkedIn, be it on any of the STEM sites for women or whatnot that you are out there, understand that it needs to be updated, constantly updated. And some of us even have personal professional websites, correct? Those consistently need to be updated. You know, we're moving to more shorter web pages, websites that are a one-pager that may have a little bit of movement in them that, you know, show sort of your audience and maybe some of the products or tools or resources that you're working on or the projects that you're working on. So it's not as flat and it's quick and it's flashy, but it draws people in. They get the information that they need and then they move on. You know, gone are the days of the 30-page websites that have on and on and on and on and on because you lose people. You know, over the pandemic, most of us lost our attention span. So give it to me quick, give it to me short. Let me know what I need to do, right? That's what we want. So just keeping that in mind and consistently updating. And again, there's a lot of resources out there to build your own web pages and to keep those sites updated at a very inexpensive cost as well. So it's a nice way to maintain your own presence and manage your own brand.
Thank you for being with us today, Annette.
Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. It was so wonderful listening to your presentation. You might hear just a little bit of overlap, but that's not a bad thing. Okay, I'm not seeing the clicker work here.
That works in
Oh, you're just doing that. Okay. Uh-oh. It's did work. Was it working on one? There we go. Okay.
It's just taking a moment.
Okay, perfect. So I have a couple questions for you. Would you like to feel more empowered, distinguish yourself from the crowd, feel more memorable, and possibly attract others to you? Does anybody like at least one of those? You identify with that? It's like, yes. Okay, wonderful. So are you aware of your professional presence when you walk into a room? Did you know that when you walk into the room, that your image speaks in a millisecond? Princeton University has a study out, and it's been around for a while, but it really also identifies and says that in a 10th of a second, when you walk into a room or you see somebody that you don't know, our brains are naturally, we're looking at an image, and when we don't know something about that person, our brains are discerning, evaluating the attractiveness of that person, the likability of that person, the trustworthiness, the competence, and the aggressiveness. And when we talk about attractiveness, it's really is, wow, oh, that person looks nice. And I love Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about, it's called thin slicing. And, you know, sometimes we hate to hear about first impressions and we think, oh, are they real or they're not fair? And, you know, my intellect is more important than how I dress. But our brains, when we see an image and we don't know anything about that person, that is what we're doing. We're looking at that person and we're thinking, oh, look at that gal's fingernails. Wow, she looks really nice. Wow, I like her. She looks approachable. She looks trustworthy. And so just know it truly is a brain thing that's going on. So welcome to be the CEO of your personal brand. Show up feeling confident and credible. I love this quote, as Jeff Bezos famously says, your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And so important of what LaVon, correct? Yes, LaVon said about, you know, defining who you are. And as I said, there's going to be a tiny bit overlap, but that's not a bad thing. I'm going to say the same thing, some of the same thing, but just in a little bit different way. So I just want to just share, I remember so vividly when I got out of college. I graduated with a marketing and communications degree, and I went to work for a small, it was owned by an entrepreneur. They had several boutiques, and I was coming in to mentor with the owner, with buying and events and just the whole retail industry. And I remember so vividly being straight out of college, and it was a very elevated boutique. So I have a picture there, and I remember feeling so inexperienced. I remember feeling I didn't look the part. I didn't feel successful, and I didn't feel on brand with the store. And, you know, I use those words now because that was 25 plus some years ago.
And we didn't use the word personal brand, but that's what it was, is I was working with women who I work with now who are very successful in what they did. And here, I felt like a fish out of water coming in from college, wearing college attire, if you will, but wanting to be that professional businesswoman. And what I learned really quickly was I used my clothing as a catalyst for my inner confidence. And, it's what we're talking about now with personal branding, but I didn't know that back then. I thought I was going into the fashion industry. And what I learned really quickly is that these professional women that came into the store, what they really wanted was confidence. And that is what I had to learn myself, that I knew I was good with style. And I started using that as a catalyst to really reflect that inner confidence from the inside out. And I've truly been on that mission for the last 25 years. So here I am now, then really did get in the education of certified as an image consultant, a more alive with color expert. So earlier we were talking about back in the 80s, the color analysis, and I have to raise my hand. Yes, I am one of those gals, and it's so powerful when you start learning about color. And then a fun fact is I am a fashion feng shui facilitator. And so I'm going to actually, some of that does come into the branding. So I'll just share a little bit as we go along. So I'm going to talk about kind of 3 things tonight. And one is, I believe, 3 style mistakes that many women make. Then we're going to talk about 3 style truths. And then we're going to kind of move over and I'm going to share with you 3 levels of dress and when you can start thinking about your personal brand. So as we're going along here, this is just something I'm going to have a few little exercises for you and you can use the handout. So I believe this whole personal branding, as LaVon was saying, like, what do you want to be known for? What do you value? It all starts when we go to our closet in the morning, right? And we're going, and sometimes dressing feels really hard. It can feel fun, but sometimes it feels really hard. Does anybody kind of identify? I have a few, yes. We have too many clothes. Your clothes, maybe some feel outdated. Maybe some of your clothes don't fit. A lot has happened over COVID. And then start questioning. So we start looking through, the hubbub of your closet, and then you start questioning your sense of style and wondering, do I look the part? Now you have this to put in your brain. Is this my personal brand? So style mistake number 1 is I believe that believing that style begins with fashion. And what I mean by that is many go shopping and you see something on the mannequin and you're like, that's what I want. That's going to be my personal brand or my style. Or your fashionista girlfriend said, oh my gosh, you have to get that. That looks amazing on you, or the salesperson. And then what happens is you have this closet full of clothes and you're like, I don't even like my wardrobe. So I'm just hearing what people tell me. I don't even like my wardrobe. So the style truth is, I believe, and this is really my guiding principle of how I begin working with ladies, is I believe that style begins with the woman and not the clothes. So when women come to me, they're so excited. When are we going to go shopping? And that's literally the last thing that we do. So I believe that you need to begin by acknowledging your strengths, your values, the essence of who you are, which is what we just been talking about. The whole personal branding is being very intentional with that. So what I want to let you know is when you begin doing this, and this is just from, again, experience of working with women, you will begin to be noticed. When you start being very intentional of this is how I want to show up, you will be noticed, you may be judged, and you may not feel 100% confident in that real you at first. So I just want you to know, and I know Tracy, you were saying, how do you begin all this process? Is when you start identifying that, is you have to own that piece of you. And sometimes it is scary because we as women are, you're smart, you're successful, you're powerful. And another thing that is gone on is why that happens is because maybe you've been dressing safe for so many years. And it's like when you step out of your comfort zone to start dressing a different way, it feels uncomfortable. And I'm going to say this, it takes courage to show up authentically. So I am by no means saying be somebody that you're not, but it's really coming back and saying, who am I? So this is my fun exercise that I love to do, and I call it your t-shirt word. So if I were to give you a blank white t-shirt and you could put one word on that, whether it is how you would describe yourself, what you want to be known for. Tonight, we're just doing that one word, and I realize you are multifaceted and there are many more words. It might be how someone describes you. What might that one word be for you? And I don't want you to overthink it. Just kind of instantaneously, after you leave here tonight and you want to change that t-shirt word, that's totally fine. Does anybody want to share their word? Classy, I like that. Okay, classy. And this doesn't have to just necessarily, it could be how I want to show up in my clothing, but it could be, as these are just examples, it could be, I'm a creative person, I'm a compassionate person, I value growth. And that's part of the kind of behind the scenes and some of the training I work with in doing the fashion feng shui, because those words have energy and we want to align those words with your dress. So when I first did this exercise years ago, my word was excellence. And what I have found is that it has, when I dress, is that when I say the word excellence, to me, that means quality, it means refined. And what you're going to find with this word, it doesn't just end in your style. You probably do other areas of your life with that same value. So I know I do that word excellence. It's how I do a presentation. It's how I work with my clients, that excellence, but I want that to come out in my dress. So Tracy, does that kind of answer when you were asking, like, where do you start from this? And it comes from those branding, those branding words on how you want to be identified. Does anybody else want to share a word? Vibrant. Okay, I love that. So I would love, like tomorrow morning, when you go into your closet and you're thinking, I want, that is part of me. What in your closet can you identify like pieces? And this doesn't have to be a full-on outfit. It could be your accessories. It could be a great blouse. It could be your shoes. So it doesn't always have to be the full head to toe. It just might be an element that brings out that vibrancy. So that would be a great word of when somebody says that, And then you start looking, okay, what does vibrancy look like in my wardrobe? And then you're like, I have to start pulling if that's how you want to feel. And when we start identifying with those words, when you said classy and vibrant, there's an energy to those words of when you start being very intentional that this is how I want to, this is what I want to be part of me today. And I like to say this is the essence that it is. It's not just one day you're vibrant and one day you're not. And yes, I know we have different ways of how we feel each day, but it's really part of you. So that's what the t-shirt word is more. It's part of you. I love this quote by Nina Garcia, and she is a fashion gal. She says that style is a deeply personal expression of who you are. And every time you dress, you are asserting a part of yourself. And, that to me is real, your personal, professional brand style. It lets people know when you walk into the room, when I said, do you want to be memorable? Do you want to be noticed? What do you want people to say about you? It's being intentional about your clothing speaks, whether you think it does or not, your clothing is speaking. Okay, style mistake number 2, believing that style is insignificant. So I've had many women tell me, oh my gosh, Annette, I go to my closet and I just feel like I have multiple personalities in my closet. And, when you're not sure of what your personal style is that we kind of start questioning it a lot. And you start asking, does it look good? And it starts kind of that ripple effect of affecting your self-confidence. It takes up mental energy because you're not just really grounded in this is who I am. And I have to tell you, this is like my passion is to help you to feel so confident in your sense of style, because my ultimate goal for you is to forget about what you're wearing and go do what you do best. As I said, it starts in the morning when you go into the closet, but literally I want you to walk out the door forgetting about your clothing because it feels so much like you. So the style truth is that clothing does not make you, it reveals you. I'm not saying clothing is going to all of a sudden make you so successful. And we know that your intellect is important. I believe in truly the aligning of both, because your clothing is part of who you are. And I like to think of your wardrobe as a business tool. So this is the part we talked, the first style truth was about the essence of you. And now we're talking about being very intentional. And that is using your wardrobe as a business tool. It requires being intentional. And I spoke about this earlier, is how do you want your clothing to speak? And so what I mean by even some of this is when you're walking into a meeting, what do you want people to know about you? This is something that does change every day. Do you want them to see I'm professional? Do you want them to see the creative part of you? Do you want them to see the approachable part of you? And this is where the other piece of how you're dressing is aligning with your personal brand. So the next exercise here, this is just total personal. I think it's really important to have an awareness of where you are and where you're going. So I'm going to ask you right now, how do you feel with your style? And this is not to be negative whatsoever. And you may feel, you know what, you feel like $1,000,000 and that's awesome. But how do you feel right now? Because I always feel I'm really believe in being your best self. And there's always I always feel like there's something that we can step into being a better version of ourselves. And then the next piece is your empowered self. So how do you want your clients, your peers, your leaders, how do you want them to perceive you? And again, just jot down whether it's a one word, a sentence, whatever that might be for you. And then how do you want to show, you want to show up more what? What might that be for you? And it might come back to part of your personal brand as whether it's more classy or whether it's more vibrant. I had a client, I love this story. When I first started working with her, I said, okay, Cindy, at the end of our work together, what is it you want from your closet? And she said, I just want to go into my closet and I want to feel like an artist. I want to have color and feel like I can mix and match. And I want that, that feeling of creativity. And so as we started working together, she worked on part of her team. She was with Expedia, and she was in a place where she wanted to go for a promotion. And as we started really investigating this whole creativity piece, because I'm always listening, when you tell me I want my wardrobe to feel more creative, she started realizing that her team looked to her as the creative person. And she never saw herself as that creative being. So as she started hearing her team talk about her being creative, that you're the creative one, Cindy, that's, what do you think? She started realizing, wow, I wanted that in my wardrobe. So she started stepping into more of that creativity in her personal style, which really flows into your personal brand. Style mistake number 3. Believing that your personal brand is for later. And, I'm going to think of this as, part of using your clothing as part of your personal brand. And this is people I hear is, you know what? When I lose those 10 pounds, then I will work on my personal style and my personal brand. When I get that promotion, I will do that. When I make more money, I will do that. And, I believe that the style truth is owning your personal brand now. Why? Because I have seen so much evidence just from the women I work with is when you start owning your personal brand and dressing the part of that, aligning yourself, your clothing with your brand, is you feel empowered, you feel more confident, you're memorable, you're attracting opportunities, you're attracting promotions and higher level clients. And as I said this earlier, the fact is it can feel scary. It can feel uncomfortable to step into that, that new identity, if you will, and be an elevated you. Has anybody had any of that experience, or you've been shopping or thought, wow, I love this, and then you're thinking, that little voice in your mind says, oh my gosh, what's everybody going to think? Is this really me? Have you had that experience at all? We have a few. Yeah. And, I think when when I said style begins with the woman, is start getting really grounded in who you are and how you want to show up, and then aligning your clothes with that identity is there may, I'm not going to say there will, because I've seen both, is you may walk out of the house and just like, oh my gosh, I finally feel like me. I finally feel like I've always seen myself. Or there may be a little transition when I said it may be a little bit scary, you're not used to. I had one gal, she's just this magnificent woman, and she said, Annette, I've never got this many compliments. I'm having men open doors for me. People think I'm the owner of this law firm. And, you know, it was uncomfortable at first, but she's definitely now growing into that. So I just say that because it's not always as easy as it seems just to redesign, recreate the identity of your clothing. So I want to share another story here. This is Teresa, and she is an executive business coach, and her goal was to be on brand and show up authentic. Okay, I say thank you, Teresa, for letting me do this before and after, but she was in this place that every time she went to her closet, she felt like she was wasting so much mental energy because she didn't know what that personal brand was. She was in this place thinking in her head, I need to wear like traditional jackets, but that's not who I am. And so there was a lot of confusion about what she thought she should do versus how she really wanted to show up. So one of the things that we started identifying during our conversation is her t-shirt word was inspire. And she knew she wanted to bring that into her wardrobe. And so she loved leather. She loved print, like the animal print, the snake skin there. And so these were actually personal pieces that she had in her wardrobe. And I love helping you know that I'm sure you have some pieces in your wardrobe you love, but there's always sometimes kind of some of those missing gaps, right? So meet Teresa now. Her personal style, authentic, she's on brand with her inspire, and you can just see through the pictures. I mean, she is just absolutely radiating on how she wanted to be seen. And sometimes it's also giving yourself like this leather. That was something she loved. And giving herself permission that I'm not that traditional kind of executive coach. I am a little bit more edgy. I want to, my word, it's all across her personality profiles, is she wanted to inspire others. So now let's go into, I want to talk about, I'm going to take kind of what we've been talking about the essence of you, about being intentional. And I want to share 3 levels of dress. And the first is I call sophisticated casual. And these are just some words that might be in there if you identify with any of these: innovative, energetic, sporty. And then there's level 2 is the classic business, which maybe you're in a little bit more traditional, supportive kind of role. Maybe it is you want to be a little bit more refined, the excellence, or maybe it's fashion forward and you want to exude a little bit more creativity, more playfulness, more charismatic. And so I want to just show you some ideas here. I'm wondering, do I need this? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. So what we did here is I actually started with 3 jackets. So I'm going to start with the sophisticated casual. And this is, so I'm giving kind of my definition, and could it be on the other levels? Yes, and I want to make just a simplified version. So I'm calling this a sophisticated casual because it's a moto jacket. It's got some zippers, so it's considered just a little bit more casual. You know what? Can I have someone hold this? It might be helpful. Yeah, then I can be, okay, there we go. Perfect. That's awesome. So again, sophisticated casual, I'm using a sweater, but it's still feeling sophisticated casual. It's still feeling pulled together. It's still feeling polished in a casual kind of way. And then again with a pair of jeans. So everybody has, you know, you have to work with your work, however that is, but this is what I would call sophisticated casual. You could also add like a little white top. It's still kind of casual. Wear it with the jean. Actually, I'm going to do this here. We'll do the sweater. Sometimes when you're wearing the two pieces, just adding a third piece. So I added the necklace, or it may be a great pair of shoes, and you still have that sophisticated casual, but it's completed. And I hear that a lot. Help me have this put together look. So it may be the shoes, and it may just be that third piece of a necklace. Okay, so now we have classic business. And this is kind of a little bit more traditional double-breasted jacket with a blouse. And I'm going to add a pair of pearls again. A little bit more. I like the word classic. It's a little more traditional, but it's still wonderful. And then we're going to add a pair of trouser pants. So this is, again, depending on what your work environment is. You also could dress that down a notch, and you could add a great pair of white jeans with it. So it's not that you can't go across the different levels, but I'm kind of just making them a little bit more distinct so that you can see the difference on them. Okay, so now I'm doing fashion forward. And the reason I'm calling this fashion forward, because it has some sparkles, the buttons, you know, I might put this in the vibrancy. And again, you know, when we have, I'm going to go back, the word vibrancy, everybody has their own definition for that. So that could be vibrant for you. This would be vibrant for me. So I think that's also is there's no right or wrong on what that vibrancy is for you. Yes, but just know what that looks like for you. So here's a little bit more fashion forward. If you're like me, I love big earrings. So it might be earrings that you put with it, a bigger earring. This could also be worn looking great with a pair of trouser pants or a pair of jeans. I love this too. And I know so many industries now, there's so many, the jeans are definitely part of the look. Do most of you, do you wear more of a trouser pant or a jean? Jeans, okay, yeah. And you know, a white jean, I love this idea, especially going into summer, is it's just elevated from a blue jean. And it's another, it's another option for your regular blue jean is to add a white jean or just a different silhouette of the jean.